The rain fell gently as I stood by my father's casket, a storm of emotions brewing inside me. 6 years of silence shattered in an instant, when Jackson walked in holding Sophia's hand, the woman I once planned to marry. My chest tightened as memories flooded back, the betrayal, the heartbreak, the ring I never got to give her. When he caught my eye and smirked, saying, "Some guys just finish first," I felt nothing but calm. My life had changed in ways he could never imagine. Before I continue this story, where are you watching from? Hit that like button and subscribe if you have ever had someone underestimate you after they hurt you. Trust me, what happens next is worth staying for. I grew up competing with Jackson for everything. From baseball trophies to school grades, we were locked in a silent battle for recognition. Our father, Richard, a stern New England businessman with traditional values, never hid his preference for Jackson. While I studied relentlessly for straight, his dad would clap Jackson on the back for his C+ grade, saying, "That is my boy, the charmer." After our mother died from cancer when I was 12, this divide only widened. Despite the favoritism, I loved my brother. 3 years younger than me, Jackson had a natural charisma that drew people in. When neighborhood kids bullied him in elementary school, I bloodied my knuckles defending him. When he struggled with algebra in high school, I stayed up late explaining equations. I believed blood ran thicker than anything else. By 19, I had earned a partial scholarship to Boston University for pre-med, working evenings as a waiter to cover remaining costs. Meanwhile, Jackson breezed into Northeastern with our father fully funding his business degree, complete with an apartment and monthly allowance. I never complained. Medicine was my calling. The challenge of saving lives filled me with purpose that money could not buy. Our paths diverged further in college. I buried myself in anatomy textbooks and clinical rotations, dreaming of becoming a cardiothoracic surgeon. Jackson joined a fraternity, attended networking events, and landed an entry-level position at a financial services firm through one of Dad's connections. During my second year of medical school, I picked up extra hours shelving books at the medical library to afford my textbooks. That is where I first saw Sophia Martinez. She stood perplexed before the pharmacology section, her dark hair cascading over a worn denim jacket. When she asked for help finding a specific journal on experimental treatments, something in her determined eyes captivated me. Over the next 3 years, Sophia became my anchor. She understood the punishing schedule of a medical student because she faced similar challenges in her pharmacy program. We studied together during late nights, quizzing each other over microwaved ramen and cheap coffee. On rare free weekends, we explored Boston's hidden corners, from the peaceful Rose Garden in Fenway to sunrise walks along the Charles River. I fell in love with how Sophia lit up explaining complicated drug interactions, how she remembered every patient's name during her rotations, and how she dreamed of opening a community pharmacy in an underserved neighborhood. For the first time, I imagined a future beyond hospitals and medical journals, a future with Sunday mornings, reading newspapers together, raising children, and growing old side by side. By my final year of medical school, I had saved enough from multiple jobs to buy a modest engagement ring. I planned a weekend trip to the Maine coastline, where we had spent our first anniversary. The ring waited in my sock drawer, nestled in a blue velvet box. I would propose as the sun set over the Atlantic, marking the beginning of our life together. I had even started looking at residency programs that would keep me near Boston, where Sophia planned to work after graduation. On a Wednesday in April, I came home early from my hospital rotation when a patient canceled. The apartment felt unusually quiet. I called out for Sophia but received no answer. Then I heard it. Muffled laughter from our bedroom, followed by hushing sounds. My body went cold. I pushed open the bedroom door to find my brother and Sophia tangled in our sheets. The look on their faces, shock, guilt, and something else. Relief. It was as if a weight had been lifted from them. In that moment, I knew this was not the first time. "Broderick, wait, I can explain." Sophia began clutching the sheet to her chest. "How long?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Jackson sat up, his expression hardening from guilt to defiance. 4 months. We did not mean for this to happen, but there is something real between us. Sophia avoided my eyes. I was going to tell you. You have been so busy with rotations. We barely see each other anymore. Jackson and I. We connect differently. My entire world collapsed. The 3 years of late-night study sessions, of planning our future, of sharing dreams, had it meant nothing? The brother I had protected and supported was now staring at me with challenging eyes, as if I were the intruder. "Get out," I said, my voice deadly calm. "Both of you." That night my father called. Instead of offering comfort, he said words that shattered any remaining family bond. "Jackson told me what happened. Maybe this is for the best, son. The Martinez girl seems to make him happy. Sometimes these things work out how they are supposed to. Broderick, you have always been so focused on your career. Anyway." The next weeks passed in a blur of numbness. I moved to a Spartan studio apartment near the hospital. Friends left voicemails. I never returned. Professors noticed my declining performance, but attributed it to typical final-year burnout. I functioned on autopilot, attending rounds, writing patient notes, studying for finals, while feeling hollow inside. 2 months after the betrayal, I saw them together at a local cafe. Jackson's arm draped possessively around Sophia's shoulder as she laughed at something he said. They had not noticed me. I ducked out before they could, but the image burned into my mind. A week later, a mutual friend mentioned they had moved in together into an apartment my father helped finance. The worst part was not the betrayal itself, but how easily I had been replaced. As if 3 years together had been nothing more than an inconvenient prelude to their real relationship. My planned proposal now seemed naive, pathetic even. The prestigious Boston Memorial residency position I had been offered, one that hundreds of graduates competed for yearly, suddenly felt meaningless. How could I stay in this city, constantly risking encounters with them? Every street corner, every restaurant, every park held memories now poisoned. During a sleepless night shift at the hospital, I made my decision. I logged on to the residency matching system and requested a transfer. 3 days later, I received confirmation of a position at Seattle Grace Hospital, literally as far as I could get within the continental United States from Boston and everything it now represented. Seattle greeted me with its legendary rain, fitting for my state of mind. The city's constant gray skies matched my outlook as I threw myself into work with single-minded intensity. Cardiothoracic surgery became my religion, the operating room my sanctuary. While other residents balanced work with social lives, I volunteered for holiday shifts and extra surgeries. "You will burn out at this pace," my attending physician warned. "I am fine," I replied, though I had not felt fine in months. The breakthrough came unexpectedly during a complex valve replacement surgery. The patient, a 43-year-old father of 3, had a severely calcified valve that standard techniques could not address without high risk. As we struggled with conventional approaches, I suggested a modification to the procedure, a technique I had been developing in the lab during my rare free time. "That is unorthodox," my attending said, studying my proposed approach. "But it might work. Show me." It did work. The patient recovered with better function than expected. 3 successful cases later, the hospital granted me research time to formalize my technique. 6 months after that, I published my first paper in the New England Journal of Medicine. Additional innovations followed as I discovered that my obsessive focus, born from heartbreak, translated into surgical precision and creative problem-solving. 3 years into my Seattle life, I attended the American College of Cardiology conference in Chicago to present my latest research. After my talk, a woman approached me with challenging questions about my methodology. "Your technique is innovative, Dr. Bennett, but have you considered the long-term tissue response, particularly in patients with autoimmune conditions?" I looked up to see piercing blue eyes studying me intently. Dr. Amanda Taylor was younger than I expected for someone with her reputation. A biomedical engineer who had left a promising career at Google to pursue medical technology innovation. I have preliminary data addressing that exact question, I responded, surprised by how defensive I sounded. I would be happy to share it with you. Our debate continued over coffee, then dinner, then emails that stretched into months of professional collaboration. Amanda pushed my thinking, questioned my assumptions, and eventually, without my noticing exactly when, became the first person since Sophia that I genuinely looked forward to hearing from. When Amanda suggested meeting in Seattle to discuss potential collaborative research, I found myself cleaning my apartment for the first time in years and feeling an unfamiliar nervousness. Over dinner, our conversation drifted from cardiac tissue engineering to personal histories. "You never talk about Boston," she observed. "Was there someone?" The question caught me off guard. For a moment I considered deflecting, but something about Amanda's direct gaze made me want to be honest. "Yes," I admitted. "My brother and my girlfriend. They found each other." Instead of offering platitudes, Amanda simply nodded. "That explains the wall you put up. I have one too. Different circumstances, same result." That shared understanding created a foundation of trust. Amanda never pushed for more than I could give. Friendship evolved into occasional dinners, then regular weekends together, and finally, reluctantly on my part, acknowledgement that what we had built together was worth the risk of calling it love. While my personal life slowly mended, my professional trajectory soared. My surgical technique, now known as the Bennett procedure, became standard practice for complex valve cases. The hospital appointed me as the youngest associate chief of cardiothoracic surgery in their history. Medical device companies courted me for consulting positions. Amanda, meanwhile, had developed a revolutionary cardiac monitoring system that combined wearable technology with predictive algorithms to detect heart failure days before clinical symptoms appeared. When a major medical technology company offered to buy her patent for millions, she declined and proposed we develop it ourselves. Think about it, Broderick. Between your surgical expertise and my engineering background, we could create something transformative. Not just one device, but a platform for integrated cardiac care. I had never considered entrepreneurship, but Amanda's vision was compelling. Using our savings and small business loans, we founded CardioSync Technologies. Within 18 months, our first product received FDA approval. 2 years later, we had 30 employees and a valuation that made headlines in the medical technology world. Time magazine featured us in their Innovators Changing Medicine issue. The accompanying photo showed Amanda and me standing before our Seattle headquarters, looking more like startup founders than traditional medical professionals. I sent a copy to my old residency director in Boston with a thank you note, but never mentioned it to my family. Amanda and I married in a small ceremony overlooking Puget Sound, surrounded by colleagues who had become friends. As we exchanged vows, I realized how completely my life had transformed from the broken man who had arrived in Seattle 6 years earlier. We purchased a modern home on Bainbridge Island, with floor-to-ceiling windows facing the water and Mount Rainier in the distance. Each morning we took the ferry into Seattle together, discussing research ideas and company strategy. Our evenings were spent with good wine on our deck, watching eagles soar over the Sound. Unlike my relationship with Sophia, built mainly on shared struggle and future dreams, what Amanda and I created was grounded in mutual respect and present joys. She understood my periodic dark moods and need for space in ways Sophia never had. When nightmares of betrayal occasionally surfaced, Amanda would simply hold me without demanding explanations. "The past shapes us, but it does not define us," she would say. "Look at everything you have built from your pain." She was right. The betrayal that once seemed like the end of everything had instead been the catalyst for a life beyond anything I could have imagined in Boston. I had needed that brutal severing to find my true path, and to find Amanda. Occasionally I wondered about Jackson and Sophia, but those thoughts carried less pain with each passing year. On a rainy Tuesday morning, an unfamiliar number with a Boston area code appeared on my phone. For a moment I considered ignoring it, but something made me answer. "Is this Dr. Broderick Bennett?" An elderly female voice asked. "Yes, speaking. This is Martha from next door to your father's house. I am sorry to inform you that Richard passed away yesterday. Heart attack." It was very sudden. The news hit me with unexpected force. 6 years of silence, of building a new life, 3,000 miles away, had not erased the complicated bond between father and son. I had not spoken to him since that terrible phone call after discovering Jackson with Sophia. "The funeral is this Saturday," Martha continued. "Jackson is handling the arrangements." After thanking her, I sat in my office staring at the Seattle skyline through the rain-streaked windows. Amanda found me there an hour later. "Bad news?" she asked immediately, reading my expression. "My father died." Without hesitation, she said, "We will fly to Boston tomorrow." "I do not know if I want to go," I admitted. "There is nothing for me there." Amanda took my hands in hers. "You do not need to decide right now. But I think you might regret not saying goodbye, even if your relationship was complicated." By evening, I had decided. We would go to Boston, attend the funeral, and leave immediately after. No extended family visits, no trips down memory lane. Clean and clinical, like a well-performed surgery. Returning to Massachusetts felt surreal. The familiar New England architecture, the distinct accent of the taxi driver, the routes I once knew by heart, all seemed to belong to someone else's life. We checked into the Four Seasons downtown rather than staying in my old neighborhood. Amanda suggested we drive by my childhood home the day before the funeral. The modest colonial looked smaller than I remembered. Its blue paint faded the maple tree in the front yard, now towering over the roof. An older woman emerged from the neighboring house. "Martha," I presumed. Her eyes widened in recognition. "Broderick, is that really you?" She hurried over, embracing me with surprising strength. "We have all missed you. Your father kept your medical journal articles in a special folder, you know. Never mentioned it to anyone, but I caught him reading them when I brought over holiday cookies. The revelation stunned me. Richard Bennett, who had dismissed my career choice as too many years of schooling for too little return, had followed my professional progress in silence. Martha lowered her voice. "Jackson comes by occasionally, still working at that financial office downtown. Did you know they never married him? And that girl you used to date. They are still together, I think, but something seems off there." I thanked Martha for her kindness to my father and her call to inform me of his passing. As we drove away, Amanda squeezed my hand, but said nothing, allowing me space to process Martha's revelations. That evening I learned from the funeral director that Jackson had planned a traditional service at our father's church, followed by burial at the family plot beside our mother. Despite our estrangement, Jackson had listed me as a pallbearer, without knowing whether I would attend. The church filled with familiar faces, my father's golf partners, former neighbors, distant relatives. I nodded acknowledgments, but kept to myself with Amanda by my side. We had arranged for a private limousine, rather than joining the family procession, maintaining our independence. Just before the service began, Jackson entered with Sophia. 6 years had changed them. My brother's hairline had receded, and a slight paunch strained his suit buttons. Sophia looked thinner than I remembered her, once vibrant expression now tight and controlled. They moved like people accustomed to maintaining appearances rather than enjoying each other's company. Their eyes widened when they spotted me in the front pew. Jackson recovered quickly, approaching with forced confidence. "Broderick, you came." He extended his hand, which I briefly shook. "I was not sure you would." "He was my father too," I replied simply. Sophia hovered uncertainly behind him, avoiding eye contact. "Hello, Broderick. I am sorry for your loss." I nodded without warmth, turning my attention back to the program in my hands. Jackson's expression hardened at the dismissal. "You look different," he said, studying my tailored suit and confident posture. Seattle must agree with you. It does. Still cutting people open for a living, his tone carried a hint of the old competitiveness. Among other things, Jackson glanced around, noticing Amanda for the first time. Before I could introduce her, the minister called us to attention, saving me from further conversation. Throughout the service, I felt Jackson's eyes repeatedly drifting toward me. When I delivered a brief, dignified eulogy about our father's dedication to his business and community, surprise registered on many faces. Perhaps they had forgotten I could speak eloquently without medical jargon. At the cemetery, as we gathered around the grave, Jackson positioned himself across from me, Sophia still clutching his arm. After the final prayers, as people began dispersing toward their cars, Jackson made his move. "Some guys just finish first," he said with a smirk loud enough for nearby mourners to hear. Dad always knew I was the one who would settle down properly in Boston. A few years earlier, such a comment might have cut deeply. Now I merely raised an eyebrow. "You still working that office job?" I asked mildly. His smile faltered. "Senior account manager now. Not that you would understand the corporate world." Before I could respond, the sleek black limousine pulled up. The driver opened the rear door, and Amanda emerged, having changed into a striking navy dress that subtly conveyed both success and respect for the occasion. Jackson's jaw slackened. Even from across our father's grave, I could see recognition dawn in his eyes. "Is that Dr. Amanda Taylor Bennett?" I confirmed. "My wife." Sophia's grip on Jackson's arm tightened as she recognized the woman whose medical innovations had been featured in national news. The woman whose company had recently been valued at $800 million. Jackson's hand went slack in Sophia's. "I did not realize you were connected." Amanda joined me, slipping her hand into mine with natural ease. "I am so sorry I missed the service." My video call with our Tokyo investors ran long. Several mourners nearby murmured in recognition, someone mentioning cardiosync with awe. Jackson swallowed hard, his earlier bravado evaporating. "Nice to meet you, Dr. Taylor. I have read about your work." Bennett, Amanda corrected gently. "Taylor Bennett. And thank you. Your brother's surgical innovations were actually what inspired my initial cardiac monitoring designs. We make quite the team." The irony hung in the air. The brother, once dismissed as too focused on his career, had built both professional success and genuine partnership, while the charmer remained in the same position he had landed through connections years ago. After most mourners had departed, Jackson approached me by our mother's headstone. "Can we talk, just us?" Amanda squeezed my hand. "I will wait in the car. Take your time." When we were alone, Jackson's confident facade crumbled. "You really made it big, did not you? All those medical journals Dad kept. I never understood the technical stuff, but the pictures of you at conferences. The awards." He was proud in his way. "I did not know he followed my career," I admitted. "He was not good at showing it." Jackson kicked at the freshly turned earth. "Nothing I did ever measured up to what you accomplished, even though he never said it directly." "Is that why you took Sophia?" The question hung between us for a long moment. Part of it maybe he finally confessed, but it fell apart pretty quick. We stayed together because admitting we made a mistake seemed worse than being unhappy. Dad kept expecting us to get married, but something always came up to delay it. I felt no satisfaction from his unhappiness, only a strange pity. "What will you do now? Keep plugging away at the firm?" "What else can I do? Not everyone gets to revolutionize medicine and marry a genius." He attempted a smile that did not reach his eyes. "For what it is worth, I am sorry. Really sorry." "It was a long time ago," I said, surprised to find I meant it. "We all took different paths. Could we maybe stay in touch?" Not like before, but something I considered this as we stood by our parents' graves. The anger that once consumed me had faded, replaced by the contentment of knowing my life had found its proper course. "We can try," I offered. slowly. As we walked back toward the parking area, I noticed Sophia approaching, her expression uncertain. Before she could reach us, Amanda intercepted her with gentle purpose. Though I could not hear their conversation, I saw Amanda speak briefly, then guide Sophia toward a cluster of other mourners. Whatever was said left Sophia looking both relieved and subdued. Later, Amanda would tell me she had simply offered Sophia the dignity of avoiding an awkward confrontation that would serve no purpose for anyone. Back in our hotel suite, Amanda and I discussed the day's events over room service dinner. "How do you feel?" she asked, studying me carefully. "Lighter," I realized aloud. "Like I finally put down a weight I forgot I was carrying. Your brother seemed lost." "He is," I agreed, "always trying to be what our father wanted, instead of finding his own way." And Sophia, I considered this. She looked trapped. "Maybe they both are." Amanda nodded thoughtfully. "The greatest revenge is not revenge at all. It is living well and finding peace." As I looked at my brilliant, compassionate wife, I felt immense gratitude for the betrayal that had once seemed like the end of my world. Had Jackson and Sophia not broken my heart, I would never have left Boston, never developed my surgical techniques, never met Amanda, never built our company that now helped thousands of cardiac patients. "I am thinking about that research center we discussed," I said. "The one focusing on accessible cardiac care for underserved communities." "What about it? I want to name it after my father, the Richard Bennett Institute for Cardiovascular Innovation. He may not have understood my choices, but he gave me the stubborn determination that made everything possible." Amanda smiled. "I think that is perfect." As we stood by the window overlooking Boston Harbor, the city of my past now seemed like just another skyline, no longer a place of pain, but simply a point on the map of my journey. Tomorrow we would return to Seattle, to our company, our research, our home by the water, to the life we had built together. Sometimes the worst betrayals lead us exactly where we need to be. I had lost a girlfriend and temporarily lost a brother, but found my true purpose and perfect partner. What seemed like others finishing first was really just the universe redirecting me to my actual finish line. One far beyond anything I could have imagined during those painful days 6 years ago. Have you ever had a painful experience that ultimately led to something better? Share your story in the comments below. If this journey of overcoming betrayal resonated with you, please hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. Your support helps this channel grow, and I would love to bring you more stories of triumph over adversity. Thank you for coming along on this emotional journey with me, and remember, sometimes losing what you thought you wanted leads to gaining what you truly need.